Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Tails Adventure. In the last part we started off the game and our little Remo bot turned into a submarine somehow. And now we're going to equip it with the only weapon we have for at this point, the Vulcan gun, and take this thing out to sea. That plays every single time you get in the damn thing, by the way. And right now, the only level we can access with it is level Lake Rocky, so let's head on into there. The Sea Fox, which is what this thing is called, by the way, it's called the Sea Tail in Japan, I believe, is pretty basic in terms of control. It can move in all 8 directions anytime you want, because you're underwater, obviously, though it does have a bit of momentum to it. And the Vulcan cannon is just a short burst-round machine gun. The thing is with the Sea Fox, though, is that it can't turn around on its own. You need to press the jump button in order to turn around. And it has the drill, which, as you just saw, can drill through any breakable blocks that are in front of you. Any blocks that are above or below you, you need another item in order to break. Lake Rocky, in terms of layout, though, is pretty simple. For the most part, in your first visit here, you're just moving to the right because there's nothing you can really do about the other routes. And in terms of enemies here, you either just got little landmines that are in your, water mines that are in your way, or birds and submarines. Now, last part, I mentioned the American storyline and how it was slightly different in the Japanese version. For the most part, the overall plot's the same, it's just that the time period is a bit different. Basically, it's Coco Island. The island we're on right now is pretty much Coco Island no matter where you are, though some refer to it as Tails Island. I think it's the American manual that does it. And basically, the main difference is whether or not Tails has met Sonic yet. In Japan, this took place before he met Sonic. In America, it takes place after. And honestly, I like the American story a bit better because it makes more sense with some of the items we got, like that Knuckles item we got last part. For veterans of the series, it makes sense why it's called the Knuckles power-up, but in storyline, why is it called that? He hasn't met Knuckles yet and won't for a good amount of time. So, what's going on there? Either way, Lake Rocky is a very easy area in your first visit because we're basically done with it now. And with that, we can enter Cavern Island. Also, another thing about the Japanese manual, its story is a lot longer. Where I think it was like 2 paragraphs in America, it's like full-out lines of dialogue in the Japanese version. Either way, I think it was at the end of last part, or in between parts, I equipped the helmet that we got last part. Like I mentioned back then, the way it works is if you press 1, you hide underneath the helmet and you're impervious to damage, including from below. In fact, there's a strategy with the helmet that if you press the B button, the 1 button rather, while in midair, you'll crush enemies below you. Either way, the Cavern Island, or whatever, I already forgot the name of this place, is basically the closest thing to a water level that we have at this point that we can actually, traverse in the water without a submarine. Yet, despite that, I don't think this game has a drowning timer. If it does, the water's never deep enough or you're never in it long enough, rather, for it to really matter. Now, there are a total of 3 items here that we want to get, so make sure we need to make sure we get those. You need 2 of them in order to progress, though, so make sure you do that. Which, that can be a complaint people have about this game, though I know some people also defend it. There are items in areas that you need in order to progress, but it's very possible for you to miss them if you're not looking hard enough. However, I'm on the side that defends that idea in a game like this because in something like Tails Adventure or Metroid, your main purpose, basically, in terms of gameplay is to explore and find stuff. So if you're not exploring and looking in every corner, you're probably either doing a speedrun or you know where everything is, like I do. Either way, we need the Remo by here since we want to fly up this little water area and grab this, which is a mine. That's a weapon for the Sea Fox, which basically allows you to destroy blocks that are below you, if I recall, at least. The reason you need the Remo bot in order to do that is because you can't fly while underwater. I don't know where Tails' ability to swim from Sonic 3 and Knuckles went, but it's mysteriously missing. Also, I hate this vertical corridor because there's a lot of enemies that can really knock you down, and I don't like that. Though actually, speaking of flight, there is technically a way to get infinite flight in the game. It's more of a glitch, though, due to the way the game works. When you're flying, you can press the jump button again in order to make Tails fall. And if you're really quick, you can press up and the jump button again to start flying without losing any real air meter. It's very similar to the thing from Sonic 06 where you can basically abuse Omega's hover to either get infinite airtime or even ascend, so that's pretty handy. I don't like to do it because, honestly, the game does control kind of awkwardly, so doing that consistently can be a bit difficult. So that's why I just don't like to abuse that. Plus, The air meter really gives you more than enough time more often than not anyway, so there's not really a reason to. And the weird thing about this little area right here, by the way, you're technically sliding down these inclines for some reason. I'm not sure if that's due to a glitch in the programming, or at least a kink in the programming that makes it so you fall, or if that's intentional, though. The really annoying thing about the water in this particular area, though, is that a lot of it has a current in it that you can't quite see until you're already in it, which will cause you to get sucked in one direction and possibly not where you want to go, like what happens here. I didn't want to do that. I was just trying to jump to speed myself up underwater, but that didn't work out too well for me, did it? Oh well. Thankfully, a lot of the maps in this game are fairly condensed compared to some other games of this type, so finding your way around shouldn't be that bad, though there are still some dang-it moments in the areas as to finding items. Actually, speaking of games like this, I think I mentioned last part that the Metroid 2 fan remake finally came out after me following it for about probably close to 6-7 years. And I mentioned I beat it, I believe, last part as well, and I went back to find more items in between parts in it. I found a good amount of them that I completely forgot about in some cases too, but wouldn't you know it, I beat the game again thinking I had everything 99%. So now, for the second time, technically third if you count the main playthrough, I have to go through the entire area of SR388 and find that last item. Joy. And I have actually no idea where it can be, because it's either in Area 4 or Area 5, but I can't tell which one it would be in, because I explored everything fully as far as I could tell, which means it's probably in some offshoot room that I can walk through a wall to get to. Great. Either way, as you saw there, you do want to bring your remote bombs in here. In fact, like I mentioned last part, for the most part, through the game, you're going to want to have the combination of normal bombs, remote bot, and remote bombs. So make sure you have those. Also, you want to bomb that wall before jumping down because the floor will collapse under you, and you want to come over here in order to get the napalm bomb, which is another thrown bomb type that I absolutely love. It's actually one of my favorite items in the game. The way it works is that it creates a flame that destroys everything in its path. However, it has a problem similar to the Holy Water from Castlevania, where its hitbox is a lot larger than the sprite. It goes directly upwards and will destroy basically anything above it. Either way, time for the boss of this area, which is named, as soon as I find it, MechaGolem. No, this is MechaGolem CL. This thing is pretty easy. Its first phase is pretty basic. You just fly above it and then drop bombs on its face while trying to avoid the hand. The second phase, though, is a lot more troublesome, because the hand not only has a bit more range and a bit more of a pattern, but it'll also ground pound, causing cannonballs and missiles to fall from the ceiling, which, as far as I'm aware, are practically impossible to avoid. So this fight can kind of suck if you're low on health. Which, like I said before, might be the excuse they made to have the Chaos Emeralds increase your health so drastically so you can actually take hits from the bosses, but I'm not sure how I feel about that if that was the design choice that they had in mind. Hitting this thing, though, at this point is still pretty basic. Just fly above it and drop bombs. When there's this many explosions, you know you're done. That poor bird got incinerated. But it does drop the anti-air missile, which is another weapon for the Sea Fox. That basically allows you to destroy any rocks that are above you. And we're going to actually go equip everything right now and head actually back into Lake Rocky, because in order to access the next area, we need to head back into there. But I do want to replace some things. I want to bring in the Napalm Bomb, and just to show it off, the Knuckles ability. I could bring in the Super Glove, but it's not useful in this area at all, so yeah. I generally like to have this exact order with the Sea Fox abilities, but really, you can arrange your items in any order you want. That is one of the cool things about this game, is that you can bring in all sorts of arsenals into any area and see how it works out. Though it is recommended you bring at least one attack-type bomb. Either way, our second trip into Lake Rocky is actually a very short one, because the path we want to go into using our anti-air missiles, because we want to go up instead of down first in this case, is very early on. In fact, we're basically there right now. The anti-air missiles do have a bit of an alternate attack, because they allow you to either shoot directly up or up into the direction you're facing. The way that works, though, is that you just need to hold the direction you're facing in order to make an aim in that direction. If you don't want it to go anywhere but up, just be neutral. And heading to the right actually brings us to our boss fight for this level. This is, and it has a name, let me get that up, I entirely forgot to get that up beforehand, the Cuckoo Cruiser. And this thing's very easy. The birds like to throw oil barrels in your face, but as long as you stay towards the center of the boat, you're basically guaranteed to never get hit by it. In case you're wondering what I consider usually the center of the boat, though, if you look right above Tails, you should see a crease in the... I don't know what to call that. I'll point at it right now. And you want to stay right below that because that's basically the sweet spot. This thing does have a good amount of health, though. In fact, some would probably say it has a bit too much. The only thing you really have to worry about moving in this area is when the camera pans over towards where it just was, you will get pushed to the right by the screen. But beyond that, this fight is really easy. And it's over. I do think that the way that the hitboxes work for that thing is that even if you don't hear the hit sound, you're still hitting it. Especially if you mash the button as quickly as I do, so you don't have to always hear the little damage clink sound effects. And with that, we've unlocked a new area, Green Island. This place is why I brought the Napalm Bomb, because the thing is about the Napalm Bomb is that it also can destroy certain blocks that we couldn't before. And there's its great range. You see that hive explode? That's because of the flame. I'm guessing it could just be the heat that's emitting or something, but everything above where that flame is basically getting hit. I don't know why they programmed it like that. It was probably just an oversight, if anything. But I love it to death. And if you see those little wooden blocks, that's what you can now destroy with the Napalm Bomb. You cannot destroy those with the normal one. You've actually, I believe, seen something like that back in the first area, so we're going to go back and check that out eventually. And we're going to need to use the remote bot here as usual, because there's some pathways that only it can access, including this in order to push the spring. When you push the spring with either Tails or the remote bot, just walk into it. The weird thing about this area, though, is that as far as I can recall, I think this is the one area in the game that doesn't have a... well, one of the few areas, at least, that doesn't have a boss fight. We're only here in order to get the, I think, 3 or 4 items that are here, or at least that we can get at this point, and then leave. And the really sucky part about that is that there's no way to backtrack out quickly. You have to backtrack through the entire place, so that kind of sucks, but, oh well. The big thing with this area, though, is that there's a lot of hidden floors you can pass through, and if you go down them, you can't go back up them, so watch out for that. Also, we want to bomb that little hole of rocks that you see right to my right, because down there is the first item, but we can only get it with the remote bot. Also, I think I showed it off earlier, but the Knuckles ability is just a straightforward punch, and it has worse range than the hammer we got in the volcanic tunnel. It sucks, never use it. Either we want to come over here in order to get another mandatory power-up for the Sea Fox, extra speed, which is basically just a speed boost. You need that in order to beat the game, so make sure you grab it. Thankfully, the thing is about this game, I do wish you kind of had a checklist that showed you, like, how many power-ups you have out of the total. But the thing is with how condensed the maps are overall, you don't have many places you can look, so finding all the items you need in order to progress isn't that big of a chore. In a way, that kind of thing actually reminds me a lot of Mega Man 1 with the Magnet Beam, which you can potentially miss, and if you do, you're screwed out of beating the game without having to get a game over and backtrack to a Lekman stage. At least if you progress to the Wily Castle, because Mega Man 1 actually allows you to revisit stages for some strange reason. I guess the Magnet Beam might be the only reason they did that, actually. Either way, though, Green Island is a very easy area overall, though there's a lot of spikes that can do decent damage to you, and the wasps, even though I take care of them with the Napalm Bomb really quickly, can be really annoying, because the main ones just try to circle around, but when you destroy the nest, it actually does spawn this one Master Wasp that basically goes all cuckoo from Legend of, or Cuckoo, rather, from Legend of Zelda, and stalks the hell out of you until you kill it. So make sure you don't let that thing live long. God, I love that Napalm Bomb. Admittedly, the thing I actually like about this game is that there's no definitively broken item overall, at least. There are some that are definitely better than others, but nothing's like absolutely game-breaking, so they actually made a really good balance with the items with that. That's the Master Wasp, don't let it live. Whoop. Admittedly, part of the things that make some of these later areas a bit more difficult than the earlier ones is just the amount of hazards they're throwing at you, which, you know, makes sense from a difficulty curve aspect. But in the case you haven't found many Chaos Emeralds, that can actually be potentially very dangerous, because having like 10 health in an area like this would basically be certain doom in some cases. But I think they're counting on you to explore and find the Chaos Emerald, so it's not that big of a design error in my eyes. Also, how about Tails' walking animation? I don't think I brought it up last part, but it's really... It looks like it would sync up perfectly with Staying Alive. Or the scene with Saturday Night Fever. The scene from Saturday Night Fever, rather. And over here is our next power-up. Actually, wait, there are 4 or 3? There's at least 3. And it's night vision, which is pretty self-explanatory. If you have it equipped, you can see in areas that are pretty dark. There's only, I think, 1 or 2 areas you need to use that, and one of them's coming up next part, so make sure you grab that. And there's one more item we want to get over here, and we need Remobot to get it, so that's another reason why you want to bring it in. Destroy the wasp and the little bird sumo wrestler thing. And then you can destroy that block over there, opening up a passageway for the, Remobot. Wait, passageway? I guess I channeled Sarah Palin there for a second, sorry about that. The thing is I forgot to mention about the Remobot is that I mentioned it can be destroyed, but it's only by certain obstacles. It's basically invincible to most things. And there we get the white Chaos Emerald, so now our health is at 50, and our flight meter's been extended to probably around 9 or 10 seconds. I know the max is about 15, but I'm not entirely sure about the range that it increases it by every single time. And here I'm just showing off some of the hidden passageway you can fall through in order to make the trip back a bit easier on your soul. And now we're gonna do some more inventory management. We want to bring in the night vision goggles for something coming up soon. And that's about it. But we do want to equip the Sea Fox with the extra speed module. But with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching. And in part 3, we're heading back to Lake Rocky in order to make some more progress towards our next area. See you guys then.